Good afternoon and thank you, Vijay. I hope I won't take much time and we can finish early. This is the last presentation of the day and I'm sure you're all a little bit tired. So let me start by showing you some pictures and you have probably seen most of these pictures already. I will just quickly skip through some of the pictures of some recent Thailand incidents. But what's not clear, what is the common theme of all these pictures? And that's what I wanted to show very clearly. The first, and in most cases, the only ones who respond in any emergency or disaster are the first responders, and these are basically police, fire, and ambulance. I mean, you've all seen them. They are the people that just come first, anything happening, and they are really the ones that really save lives. They can't do much if they cannot communicate. Their first need is to effectively communicate back to their office, among themselves, among their personnel, among their commanders, among their cars, among their troops, and back to the command chain, etc., etc. Everything they do depends on how effectively they can communicate, and this has been proven each and every incident that only way they can work, they can help you, they can help any incident is if they can communicate. And in most of these cases, this communication happens through two-way radios. There are, of course, mobile phones, there are other means, and there are a lot of different technologies. But end of the day, when there is an incident, the police, the fire, the ambulances, they can communicate only using two-way radio technology. That's the only survivable technology that is there today. So when finally it comes to saving lives, you have to depend on a two-way radio, and that's the theme of my talk, talking about these two-way radio technologies and their standards and how they're evolving. Just to give you an example of something that happened in New Zealand, there was an event it was an earthquake, which led to a widespread disruption of all the telecom networks. The public telecom network, the mobile network, completely got destroyed, and it took them almost 10 days to put together some semblance of a public telecom network. But the radios were there within the hours. They were there. The police, the fire, all these people were there using their Tetra radios, using the P25 radios, and they were able to provide the communication needs just at the point of starting of the event itself. So the moral of the story is that you need those radios out there if anything happens. The public telecommunication network is great, it is required, it's very useful, but you can't depend on that if there's any emergency event. You have to depend finally on the wireless two-way communication. So what is this two-way radio communication? Maybe some of them this is too elementary, but I thought let me just talk a little bit about it, as some of you may not know these terms. Basically, a two-way radio is a point-to-multipoint communication. We also call it one-to-many or group communication. So what you do is you use one radio to multiple radios, and you can talk to as many listeners as possible. So one particular commander can just use one radio and speak to all the people in the area or in his group. And this is done by using minimum number of frequency channels. So you minimize the number of minimize the number of frequencies. At the same time, you cover as many as people that you need to do. And this is done in a very, very fast and efficient manner. The two criteria for two-way radios are coverage and performance. You need to cover larger area. You need to make sure that the message reaches instantaneously, immediately, without delay. Capacity is not so much of importance here as is so in case of a cellular network. In cellular network, when you design, I need to provide for 100,000 subscribers or 200,000 subscribers. Here in a two-way radio, that is not the case. You are looking for more coverage, you are looking for more performance rather than the capacity. And the information is shared at a constantly. So it's not just the person to whom the information is conveyed that he comes to know of it. When you speak in a group, everybody else knows what is happening, so that he is aware of the whole scenario. So he is not immune to what's happening. In a mobile communication, you tell A to B, other people are completely ignorant about how things are happening. In this case, everybody is aware. So situational awareness of the situation on the ground is known to everybody, and that's the advantage of this group communication and two-way radio. Of course, the people who use these radios are trained. They are trained to use a very concise messaging. They just use minimum words. They use the words very effectively, so that they just pass the message and there is no extra chit-chatting or anything that can block the channels. And the most basic two-way radio system is that you have a bunch of radios. They all talk to each other. You just start taking 5, 6, 10 radios, and they are all talking to each other. This is a very simplest way of communicating. If you have an incident, there are 10 people. They all have a radio. They all talk on single frequency. So you just have one frequency for transmitting and one frequency for receiving, and that's it. So you have a basic, very, very basic minimum system working. Of course, that may not meet the needs of today's environment, but that's how you start. You just pull together radio. But the problem with this kind of a system, very simple system, is that it has a very limited coverage. You don't have a high antenna. The antenna on the radio is too small. The power is too small. The radios don't have enough capability. So you're doing it all within a very, very small, limited area. And that cannot help in a situation where you have a large area to cover. So what do? What you do is then you put a repeater. You put a high tower with an antenna which can just receive the signal and retransmit it back. So you just need another frequency. You just receive it, send it back, and therefore you are able to cover much wider area, because now you have got a very high antenna and it can look into various bigger area. So you can therefore have a very wide range of coverage. And then on top of it, you could also add possibly a dispatcher who can then receive calls from a landline and then direct the radios. So you have a person there sitting connected to a landline and therefore is able to direct the vehicles to the place where the incident is, or they can coordinate among themselves. So all this can be done by just adding a simple dispatcher. So what's a dispatcher? What's a dispatching? Dispatching is basically a process of assigning and managing field resources to customers, assets, work activities. So you have an event happening. So let's say there's a bomb disposal unit. You need to coordinate that activity. There's a fire unit. You need to coordinate that activity, and you need to have number of resources on the ground. You have vehicles moving. All that being coordinated through this, what we call as a dispatch center. So you have dispatching capabilities which can really manage a lot of things. In the good old days, the dispatching was very simple. You just have a person sitting there with a microphone and listening on the two-way radio. But today's the dispatch function has become very ICT based. It includes complete coordination, control, command, and computer-aided dispatch. CAD has really improved the value of the. If you see some of the computer-aided dispatch systems in maybe in Melbourne or one of those developed cities, you will find how complicated these dispatch systems have become today, and they become kind of life and blood of the city, because they continuously receive calls, thousands of calls are terminating and then being directed to the fire, to the police, to the ambulances, the video feeds coming from various cameras. all are coordinated together to give an overall picture of how the city is run. Now, that was a very simple single site, you put a transmitter. But then if you need to cover larger area, or if you have multiple systems, then you need multiple repeaters. So you could have multiple single sites, and each of the systems can operate on different frequencies and work independently. Or you could then also add a dispatcher to all these together, and that becomes a complete coordinated system where there is one site used by the fire, another site used by the ambulance, another site used by the police, and then they all can be coordinated to a single dispatch center. So there are different multiple ways of managing a response system, and some of the ways, if you look at a typical emergency communication system, would have public calling to 911 or what may be the number 100 in some cases, or 111, calling the dispatch center, and from there the resources being assigned. They can also then communicate back if they get any information from the site about some incident. They can also communicate back to the public broadcast media. So this becomes a kind of a very basic minimal emergency communication system in a city, and then you can start building on those. There are different models that are used in an emergency communication system. A very simple model would be an independent dispatch center. So one dispatch center for the police, which has its own radio, and therefore it manages its own resources on the field. And then there's a separate system for the fire, and there's a separate system for the ambulance, and etc. So you could have multiple systems like this, each managing its own radios, each managing its own fleet of vehicles and the people in the ground, and all coordinated independently. But that's not a very efficient system. You could possibly combine the dispatch center together. So just have one emergency response system. Example of the previous one. An example of this is India, where you have a separate call number for fire, and a separate number for police, and a separate number for ambulance. So if you need fire assistance, you need to call 101. If you need an assistance from police, you need to call 100. But there are many countries which have implemented a single emergency dispatch center. So you just call to a single number. You just call one number, like 911 in US, and I don't know what is similar number in Australia or other countries. So you just call that one number, and the dispatcher then notes down what your requirement is, and then directs to the relevant radio network. So it would call the police two-way radio system, or it would connect you to the fire system, and then immediately the resources that are needed, whether it's you need a policeman, or you need a fire tender, or you need an ambulance, is dispatched to the site. So all this could be done independently, or also it could be coordinated